The Lagos State government last week discovered 86 apartments under the Dolphin Estate Bridge, Ikoyi, where tenants paid about 250,000 naira per annum rent. And now the state's commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, disclosed this in a video post via his X account on Wednesday. Wahab revealed that the 86 partitioned rooms sized 10 by 10 and 12 by 10.
Now, Mr. Wahab added that the enforcement team of the Lagos State's Ministry of Environment and Water Resources had successfully removed all structures, including a container utilized for various illegal activities from beneath the Dolphin Estate Bridge. Sharing videos, the commissioner wrote 18 individuals squatting illegally under the bridge leading from Dolphin Estate were arrested yesterday, 30th of April 2024, by the officials of the Lagos State Environment Sanitation Corps.
Now, joining us to talk about this instance is our correspondent who was on the ground at the time of the removal of the structures, and that's Marshal Ononye, and he joins us live. News Central's correspondent. Many thanks. Thank you so much for coming on.
Welcome,
Marshal. You're looking dapper. It's a Sunday.
Good to be on your set.
It's a Sunday.
You came to as in, take it easy now.
Can you see your mate? Can you see? Can you see your mate?
It's all good. Good to see you here. Great.
All right.
So,
Now,
let's go into the instance now. First of, exactly why was, tell you what we're going to do. Let's first of all launch that report, and then when we get back, we're going to be asking you these very critical questions.
Fantastic.
Let's do that.
This video of a man taking his bath under the Dolphin Estate Bridge at the Ikoyi axis of Lagos State was received by the Lagos State's Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, sent to him by a concerned citizen on Tuesday. Upon receiving the video, the commissioner swung into action, immediately ordering the commander of the enforcement team of the ministry, retired Major O.O. Cole, to move to the location and secure the property from illegal settlers and environmental violators. Arriving at the location the next day, Major Cole and his men were amazed at what they found.
I'm not showing you my ID card.
You are living here, are you living here?
Yes.
A total of 86 rooms partitioned with woods and other materials and a metal container allegedly used for different illegal activities were discovered under the Dolphin Estate Bridge. Tenants here part with a sum of 250,000 naira per annum for the makeshift apartments under the bridge. The occupants have since been evicted and demolition of the apartments long begun.
All the sand put under the bridge for a kind of protection, they were excavated and they started putting structures, 86 rooms. You can imagine somebody removing sand that's supposed to give protection to a facility, a bridge, and putting structure there and collecting money from people. That is sabotage.
These occupants are said to have carried on with normal daily life under the bridge with their families, sleeping, cooking, congregating, and some others walking and soliciting for customers, as was the case of the commercial sex workers that were alleged to have run a brothel at the location. This posed an obvious recipe for disaster, as it was discovered that some occupants had gallons of fuel stored up for their generators in these makeshifts constructed majorly with wooded materials.
Who collect money from you for this place?
Mumpo.
Mopo?
Ben.
Mopo?
Yes.
How much?
250.
And last month we came here, but though the man gave my mom 50,000 naira yesterday, and he said he will see us today. So we don't know, maybe he will come back or not.
This is how the residents, the occupants of this illegal shanty that was constructed right under the Dolphin Bridge, were set to be getting access to water which they use to carry out domestic activities and cooking as well.
Back at the office, armed with just the payment receipt obtained from one of the tenants, we extracted a phone number believed to be that of the man at the center of it all, simply known as Mopol, whose real name we discovered is Benga Emmanuel Oluwafemi.
No estate chairman in Dolphin that will never say that he did not know me. Even there are some people in Lagos State that they are in power in Lagos State, that they live in that place. They know us very well. Blue container, they demolished, they cut this morning. That container has been there for going to 15 years now. that the previous government did it for us here. The person that did this container, first off Kiamu, he was the one passing by. He said, what are we doing here? We said that we are security to the street light here. He said that if we are security, where are you people hiding yourself? If rain is falling, where are you people staying? He said, okay, don't worry, I will complain, I will know what to do. They will come and build little things. I've never refunded any money to anybody, and I don't think I've ever collected. If I'm collecting 250,000, I will not be in that place again.
Mr. Benga denied collecting money from anyone, contrary to evidence of payment receipts for tenancy obtained from some evicted occupants. The growth of population in metropolitan Lagos has assumed geometrical proportion, and the provision of urban infrastructure and housing to meet this demand is not at a commensurate level. An online report by Business Day in February 2023 says this has resulted in an acute shortage of housing for the teeming population, with Lagos alone accounting for about 5 million deficit, representing 31% of the estimated national housing deficit of 18 million. Lagosians are not likely to have seen the last of such shanties or makeshift apartments, especially under the numerous bridges in Lagos State. Neither have we seen the last of the operations of officers and men from the enforcement team of the State Ministry of Environment, as they hope to carry out more raids and dismantling of illegal settlements in the coming days. For News Central, Marshal Ononye.
First off, Marshal, I want to say fantastic reporting.
Well done. Well
Yes.
done. Well done. I would say that just watching it and then seeing it from behind the scenes is that's why this job is so important.
Yeah.
And to be able to go there and get the answers and know why they're there and how they've been able to be there for that long under our noses. And again, well done to you. And so let's start with your discovery. I know you put some out there in the package we just watched, but from your own point, some things where you're not able to put out there. Your discovery, the environment, how long they've been living there, how did they even get there? Who decides to live under a bridge?
Okay, so for how long they've been living there, reports have it that some said over 10 years, and some said up to 15 years. When I spoke with the suspect himself, the ringleader, now referred to as ringleader because we hear the government is on his tail, Emmanuel himself, he said he's been there for 15 years. And, he's the original security that was contracted to safeguard the electric street lights. And then they had this generating set, which was meant to supply power to the streetlights, which was eventually circumvented to provide power for the what I've come to be calling Bacha Estate, Dolphin Underbridge Bacha Estate, makeshift estate. So that's why you would hear they were having 24 hours power supply, because they were using the government installation for power in that place. So for your question directly, 10 years, between 10 to 15 years.
So apparently they're band A customers.
You can
How were they able to slip through the radar?
Well, we also gathered that, you heard my conversation with him. He said the government knew that they were there. He was there. And several other people, passerbys that we spoke with, said this place has been in existence. And they knew that these people were habiting in this place. And, so for us, it was a thing of whether government had turned a blind eye to these guys, not knowing the menace they would get to constitute in the near future. And then, because somebody had called the attention of the current Commissioner for Environment, he then decided to spring to action. But he probably wouldn't have been in the know of the existence of this underbridge menace in time past. Maybe he just found out. But what we've gathered is, to a very large extent, the people, residents of Dolphin Estates to your right and the left of that bridge, were in the know of the fact that these people were in existence there.
Let's talk about these people themselves. We saw some of them in the report. What kind of people inhabit these places? Are they people who work around or work far? Why did they choose to live there? What kind of businesses or activities happen in that area?
For starters, you can begin to imagine the people in the economic class that would be able to afford 250,000 naira. And leave that to your imagination, whether they belong to the A grade or the lower grade or the middle grade or middle class, if you may. And then you'd have people who said, part of those who were apprehended at the location, there were people who worked in the banks, there were people who were Uber drivers. I mean, these guys, some of them had cars. The apartment had air conditioning systems installed in them.
Really?
Yeah. And then you also had people who were running brothels, commercial sex workers. Then you had a mini restaurant or bar.
What?
Where
All on location.
So
All
really,
on the
that's
site.
like an apartment block. It's
You
not
can say
makeshift
so.
anymore.
It's an estate.
Oh, there we go.
That's what it is.
Wow. I mean, and then when you're saying all of this, these guys are people that there's all mixed there. So clearly this points to a housing deficit problem then that we have in the state.
I agree. One thing I'd like to note here too was the residents the occupants of that illegal occupation or location there were saying that the landlord whom government is on the stay right now was really strict about sanitation. You know, the irony of this, really strict about sanitation, and he ran a schedule such that each apartment occupant would have days when they would come out and, you know, sweep the environment. They had sunk a well. I don't know if you saw that well.
Yes, we saw
They
that
sunk
well.
a well there. He sunk a well there to provide water for the occupants. What they didn't have was toilet. So they defecated in, you know, some kind of nylon bags and then disposed in the near lagoon, you know.
Who's this guy? This what you call him?
The landlord.
Mopol. That was how he was referred to.
Yes.
We got his name as Benga Solomon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So
who is he exactly?
That question I threw to the commander of the Kick Against Indiscipline, which is the enforcement team of the Ministry of Environment in Lagos State, and he didn't know him. He just referred to him as one Mopo. And we spoke with the residents. They said Mopo. I said, doesn't this guy have a real name so we can, you know, look him up or something? And that was when we then reverted to our GPS tracking system because we had the phone number. So with that phone number, New Central, we did what we could do at the back end, and then we were able to obtain certain information about him. One of such was his name. Even his location was obtained. And I shared that location with the commander because he wanted to share it with the commissioner. As at that time, he told me that they were going to apprehend this guy and prosecute him. So I shared that information. His real name, Oluwafemi Benga Emmanuel. You know, that was what we got.
I mean, this is first. We understand there's more that will be happening in the coming days, more raids of these makeshift apartments under the bridge.
Yes, I hear tomorrow there would be a demolition at Ebute Elefun. I hope I got that correctly. And it will be led by the High Commander as well, Major Cole. He will be there with his team to carry out the demolition. He said what's peculiar about this one is they share perimeter fencing with school. And you know how the Lagos State government has said, look, nobody should share perimeter fencing with schools. You know, so...
so residential shouldn't share perimeter fencing with schools?
Well, yes, in certain areas. But in areas like the roadside areas, he wouldn't expect that perimeter fencing will be shared with residents. So it's weird to have that going on there. And then the pollution, the level of pollution that is, you know, coming from that location is also something of concern.
Right. I mean, we've seen many of these cases begin to raid. We've seen them going under the bridge, the homeless, and also so much more that's been happening. I do hope that the state government, as they are expelling them, the conversations is now going to be had about housing deficit and as well as the number of homelessness that we're seeing on the streets, people just sleeping, I mean, making homes under the bridge. And just who does that?
Need I add the menace that they constitute to the public facility, the road itself? Now, we didn't get to show the clip where the water channels were blocked. The water channels for water that was coming from the road, you know, and running down, they were supposed to run down to the underbridge. They were blocked by these guys, so their houses don't get flooded. Meanwhile, you'd find that when you're driving up or descending down those bridges, you'd find
clogged.
pool of water.
Yeah.
That's the reason you have those.
And where did they get their electricity from?
Like I said earlier, they were supplied electricity from the generating set that was meant to supply electricity to the streetlights. So it was a simple tapping of electricity from the streetlights or from the generating set to that place. And that was a major attraction for occupants who wanted to, who took apartments there.
24-hour power supply.
You may say so.
Ooh, that is a band.
Marshal, that's fantastic reporting. And will you be at the raid tomorrow?
Hopefully.
Okay, well.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on this.
We expect to see more from you. Thank you very much for such stellar work.
Thank you, Zeno.